I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Hi everybody, Ron here from The Truth About Addiction. Welcome to another episode, and today we have a good friend of mine and a special guest, Allan O'Farrell. Allan's been around a long time. That doesn't say he's old, it just says he's been around the program a long time, and he does a lot for people. He does a lot for the people coming into the programs. He does a lot of people out of the street, you know. So yeah, Al, welcome mate. Welcome to The Truth About Addiction, my friend.
Thanks, Ron. Appreciate it. An opportunity.
What's the Allan O'Farrell story, brother?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Goes back a while. Well, I started, like most addicts, but not all, but quite a lot start off on the piss, really.
Yep.
And I was stealing my old man's vodka and taking it to school, and I was drinking at school because I hated it. I hated school. I was in a fight every day, being an Irishman. Somebody would say something and it was on, and so I just hated school. And having a few drinks before going to school sort of just took the edge off. And I was, then I was wagging school all the time, going to my mates, and we'd get on the piss. And that was how it was. And I left school at 14, started work because there's a big absence note coming my way. I'd been at school 4 days in a term, so And I knew my man, if I got a job, I'd be all right. So I was selling papers at the time, and I asked everyone in the paper run to, if they had a job for me, and I got a job that week, and started, drinking. Really, drinking with the older men. Really, I always hung around with older men. Seemed to be people my age weren't doing what I was doing. Really, they were occasionally, but they weren't doing it all the time. I used to I'd drink with me mates my own age on a Friday night before the blue light disco. We'd have a few drinks and have a pizza, and usually have a dance and think we're Fred Astaire, even though we didn't know how to dance, and or John Travolta, and then. It was usually a fight after the dance. There was always a fight after the dance, That was part of a Friday night. Have a drink, try and crack onto a chick, and have a fight after the dance, and then, that if I had stayed like that, I'd probably still be doing similar things. I'd be still drinking at least, But it didn't. It's a progressive disease and a progress within me, And then shortly after that, I was, like I said, I left school early and I was drinking with the older men. And I remember a breakup party. A bloke took me back to his place. Him and a few of us went back to his place, and we had a drink and we had a smoke. And that was the first time I'd had a smoke of pot. And I remember spewing my heart out. Really. It was coming out both ends. It was so embarrassing. He had to, take my clothes and wash them for me. And it was just really embarrassing. You'd think that embarrassment would have pulled you up. But it actually, nothing really pulled me up. I just wanted more.
Yeah.
And then
what area did you grow up in, Al?
Ascaval.
Oh, in Melbourne?
Yeah, Melbourne, Ascaval, Moonee Ponds.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty wild times back then, back in the skinhead days and the Sharpie days and the bikey days,
Yeah, pretty tough area.
Yeah, hung around Union Road there, That's where all the, they call, the wog bars, all the pool rooms. And hang around there all the time. And I remember Saturday night, it was that wild after the trots at the showgrounds. People walking down the street and covered in blood, and they'd just been chained, or one of the sharpies or the skinheads, by the bikies, or one of the bikies, being chained or stabbed. It was pretty rough. And we used to fight from suburb to suburb, and there was always a drink or involved. Really, you'd have to have a drink to get the courage to go and do what we had to do, fight with other suburbs. Really, yeah. If it had stayed as light as that, like I said, I'll probably be still doing it, but it got worse. I started on, I tried speed after that, after the pot, and I loved it because you could drink more. You could drink all night and, still be standing. And I didn't get the blackouts on the speed, and I was frightened of blackouts because stuff happens in the blackouts, and some couple of embarrassing things happened to me, which, I talk to anyone one-on-one, but I won't be talking about on here live, but I'm willing to tell anyone one-on-one. I've got no secrets anymore. It's good I've been free from that burden of having to take things to the grave. I don't have that anymore, which is just such a relief. And then I remember somebody's. We used to have the acids and the mushrooms. Yeah, I love the acid. I remember going to AC/DC concert, My Music Bowl, and hitting up some acid before we went. We weren't into just dropping it. We hit it up. And I was tripping for 2 years. I was gone. I'd have a puff of the joint and I'd be tripping again. It was pretty scary. And then I'd have to have Valium and Rohypnol, not Valium, Seropax and Rohypnol. I'd eat them by the boxes every day. Just for 2 years, I don't remember nothing for 2 years. That was just coming down from that time when I hit up the acid. And there's another mate of mine he hit up 6 of them, and he went into the mental institution. He's never the same ever. I think it cooked my brain cells to a degree too. It was pretty frightening time. And then somebody gave me some smack, and that was it. I'd found what I was looking for. Once I had the smack, it was like I wasn't really interested in anything else. It's like everything else secondary, really. Yeah. And it worked so quick, really. Like it's pretty hard. I'm a painter and decorator. My family were painters and decorators. It's pretty hard to climb a ladder when you're pissed, But I could get to the same place on the smack within, a couple of seconds, and then still I could go to work, But eventually, as it progressed, as you know, eventually I couldn't even show up for work, and I'm working for the family, So, it was pretty bad, And then always going back to the drink and smoke and dope, in between trying to get off, the smack, really. Just robs you, and you end up robbing everyone else too, And I was doing things I didn't want to be doing, hurting all my family continuously, and the shame of that was just horrendous, really. It was like rats in my head, the guilt. I was very sensitive to guilt, I couldn't handle it, really. And the drugs sort of took away a lot of that guilt, but eventually it didn't do that anymore. I was left with it, towards before I come into recovery, I was left with the guilt. It wasn't taking it away anymore. And I remember trying to stop at different times, and I thought just having a couple. If I just had it every now and again, maybe on the weekends, if I just had a hit on the weekend, I'll be all right. And I just have a smoke and a drink during the week. But it was never that way. And I didn't know why until I come into recovery. I didn't know that once I had one of any mind-altering chemical, it triggered off a craving for more. And the more I had, the stronger it was, and the harder it was to stop. I didn't understand that until I, got into a group with other people trying to recover, and they taught me that. And that was such a relief off my mind. That explained so many times that I had no explanation, Like, for instance, I was a groomsman at one of my brothers. I've got 6 brothers, at one of my brother's weddings. And what happened is I went down to Footscray, and I was dealing a little bit then, and one bloke, he grabbed me dope and his money and he took off, you know, and I chased him and I get hit by a car. This is the morning of the wedding. So I come down, I break my fall on the bonnet. So I broke the arm and my leg's broken from the car hitting me. So I didn't make it to the wedding, did I? And that was just that was just one of many things, you know. And then, you know, it's like I come to the reception with the crutches and the broken arm, hopping along into the reception, and everyone's giving you the look, as you know, it's like, here he is, he's fucked up again, done it again. The look of shame, you know, and you bow your head and you walk in, you sit down, have a few drinks, and then it's like, what the fuck you lot? What's wrong with you lot, you know?
Yeah.
So I was just give me a few drinks, and you know, soon it was I forgot about, you know, the shame. But Dad explained to me why, because I'd had the first one. I had to then keep going, and you know, I had to deal to be able to support my own habit, you know. And I was hopeless, really, because around there I remember the Asians coming around to score off me, and they worked in a group. I've never seen it anywhere else work, but they Vietnamese, they were, and they used to go and just get a few points or whatever off me, and then go and share it amongst each other, and one would have more than the rest, and then they'd go and get another urn, and they'd wait until everyone got what they needed. I never seen it anywhere else or anyone else do it, you know. So, and I was hopeless. So if somebody come to me sick, you know, and I knew they were a good person, I could not give them nothing if I had something, you know. So you end up with a lot of trouble with the people that you've got the dope off, because you haven't got the money. So I was just fucking hopeless, really. It's no good for me. So I copped a few hidings along that, and you got to cop it sweet, you know. You do the wrong thing, you got to cop it. It's you know, I've had, you know, been walked down the river, down Melbourne River, with a gun pointed in my head and saying this is the last time you're going to see there, and you know, runs through your head, do I smash him and grab the gun? What if I miss? Then I'm dead, you know. I just have to bluff my way out. And, you know, then I put my brothers in dangerous positions. You know, it's shocking. And my mum used to, you know, get phone calls. Your son's going to be knocked off the minute he walks out the door. You know, you know, and my brothers would have to go and sort that out. You know, and pay my debts for me. You know. So, and they'd try and dry, you know, they'd take me away to the bush, dry me out, you know, I'd get over the withdrawals and all that, and they'd say to me, just hang around with us. We'll just get a slab of a Friday night, a few Buddha sticks, and, you know, you'll be right. I'm thinking, yeah, that sounds good. We'd have the slab and we'd have a few Buddha sticks. They'd go home and I'll go out. Because they'd the craving. You know, I was never satisfied. Didn't matter how much I had, I was never satisfied until I could hardly move, you know. And I didn't like that, you know. And you know, I seen, and smack worked different to me than a lot of people. I wasn't one to sit around nodding off. I had smack and I was like speeding. I was all over the joint, you know. That's how I sort of worked in my body, you know. And I've met a few like that now, but there wasn't many who was hanging around with me. Most of them were wanting to chill out, and I'm thinking, what? Let's get moving. Let's get another urn. Get some more. That's sort of how it was, and it sort of dictated my life over and over and over again. You know, trying to stop. You know, or I never tried to stop everything because I didn't know everything was the answer. I didn't know complete abstinence was the answer. I thought control. You know, if I could only control it, I'll be okay. If I don't use the smack, I use pot and drink, and maybe occasionally have a hit. You know, always trying to get the right formula. If I could only get the right formula, life would be good. You know, I could never quite get the right formula. You know, you would relate to that, sure. You know,
100%. I try to adjust all my moods by a chemical.
Yeah, that's
Going
right.
out, we'll get some of this into us. We're doing this, we'll get some of that into us. We're getting this into us. But I relate so much to the smack. In the early days, the heroin, I'd go on the nod and all that. But in the end, I was just flat stick. I'd eat on it. I'd have sex on it. I'd fucking
Oh
go
yeah,
and on it, you know, because as soon as I have a shot, I got to go get more. And even when I had plenty, I still had to go and get more.
yeah,
You know what I mean, I could do an armed robbery today, and my mates would be go like, "Oh, we've got enough to last us a couple of weeks." I go, "No, mate, we're earning tomorrow."
yeah,
I go, "What?" So, mate, this ain't going to last.
yeah.
My
It's the
greatest
fear,
fear is running out.
constant fear of running out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hated the thought of running out. I
Yeah.
hated it.
yeah.
I was such an
And
emotional coward, Al.
yeah, well, I've never looked at it like that, but yeah, you're spot on.
I could do anything physically. You know, I was pretty willing, and you know, and all the bloke, oh, you know, he's a willing little guy, and that. I wasn't willing. I was scared.
Yeah.
Scared of running.
I remember hearing somebody saying one time that the most dangerous person is the most scared person because he's unpredictable.
I say it all the time.
I agree too. You know,
Scared of dangerous things.
I lived a life full of fear. I always carried a knife or something since I was a kid, walking down the street to get the bread and milk at night. I always had these ungrounded fears, thinking somebody's going to jump out of a tree, or we had laneways in Melbourne, a lot of laneways. So it was, you have to walk past the laneway, and somebody going to jump out of the lane. So I was always, I'm talking about like 10 and 11, and carrying a knife, ready for anything. I'm so glad no little old lady jumped out and said hello.
I say, I walked down the street at night. Those days, we didn't, when the lights go off, you had to go home. That was there's no watches and phones and shit like that.
No, that's
I remember walking down the middle of the street like that, my hands sort of like that, and ducking and weaving like I'm going to be attacked from somewhere for something. Unfounded fear.
Yeah, and the drugs take that away, don't they?
And the heroin took that away.
Yeah, same. That's
All
why I love.
I didn't care. Then you become the most dangerous person in the room.
Yeah.
Because once you don't care about yourself, you don't care about anybody else.
If you don't live, whether you live or die. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the one. That's the most dangerous person today, like the addict who's got nothing, which was me as a kid. I came from the streets.
Yeah.
So for me, when I started using, I remember a copper put a gun in my head one day after I'd just been arrested for escaping from prison. And I'd had a big chase and all that. And he put the gun in my head, I think he was going to scare me. I'd had lots of guns in my head, And he goes, "What are we going to fucking do with you?" And I said, "Fucking knock me and put me out of my misery."
Yeah.
I wasn't.
And what happened?
I meant it.
Yeah, man. I knew.
Out of my misery. Just because I couldn't stop using, I hated using in the end.
Yeah, same.
Every day I used against my will.
Oh yeah, 100%. And not the courage, because for me, I lost courage.
Of course it is.
I lost courage eventually. Like I couldn't, like some people still had courage, and they went and knocked themselves. I didn't have even the courage to do that in case it didn't work.
Yeah. I didn't even have the courage to steal in the end.
Yeah, same.
Or I couldn't earn. I'd lost the capacity to earn. In 1985, when I relapsed, I was up King's Cross. This is one of my sad stories. This is one of my regret stories. And all the shit I've done in my life, I should have a lot more different regret stories, but I don't. That's being honest. I don't. Yeah. But I got this one story. There's an American tourist walking down King's Cross. I'm a street junkie. I got nothing. I'm 120 mil a day and I'm fucked. And this poor guy's like, "Hey, man, you don't know where I can score some dope?" And I'm looking at this big guy. He's a big guy. He's 6 foot something, And I go, "Yeah, man, what do you want?" And he goes, "Oh, well, can I get a couple of $100 worth of heroin?" I said, "Yeah, man, give me your money. I'll be back in a minute. Wait here." Well, I've done it. I've robbed him. I've done a runner. Got his money off him. Dumb fuck. Give me money. I run away. It's true story. 2 days later, I'm walking down the street And I bumped the big American. Hey, motherfucker, why did you rip me off, man? I'm like, oh, get fucked, idiot. He goes, man, I waited so long for you. He said, I just didn't think you'd do that shit, man. He said, I would have give you half that shot. And he was so sincere and not being, a midget cheeky. I said, get fucked, you dog. And he slapped me across the face with his open hand.
Yeah.
And I didn't even fire up.
No.
I felt like I deserved it, you know? And I remember walking away thinking, that poor cunt was standing on the corner in a new country, knew nobody, gave me 200 to get on, and I went and robbed him. And he said to me, I would have give you half a shit. He said, if you had told me you're sick, man, I would have give you half that dope. So I had a connection.
Yeah.
I was always thinking, fucking hell, man, you have come to the bottom of your road, haven't you?
Yeah. Like I remember seeing people that I knew on the other side of the road. I would have to cross the other side of the road. And not that I'd done any harm to them. It was just I was ashamed of the life that I was leading, you know?
Yeah, man.
I knew that I couldn't do anything about it. No, because like you're right, you could get up and brush yourself off, clean up yourself a little bit and go and try life again. But you do that over and over and over and over again, eventually you lose hope. That's what I've done. I lost hope of it ever changing. And I remember the last 2 years, I just gave up. I thought, this is the life that I'm going to lead until I die.
Yeah.
And did I go down then? Jesus, because there was no limit. Like I was in that place. I didn't care whether I lived or died. You know? And I've been in that place again, you know, being clean as well. I've been in that place when my first wife died. It took me about 9 months to get the will to want to live again, you know, because I didn't care anymore. I just got married. Wife got, you know, measles and went into a coma, come out retarded, you know. It was a pretty hard time. But I didn't have to use one. Yeah. It's amazing. That's through the things that I learned, I didn't have to use through that period. I was able to be there every day and, you know, paint her nails for her and brush her hair and do all that thing. Just be a responsible person for the first time in my life, face up to life as it is in one of the hardest situations you can imagine. I could do that only because of, you know, what I'd learned through the years and the support that I had. I had people around me that were just like incredible. Like I had one man, he's clean over 50 years now, Tony, and you would know Tony. He's a merchant seaman. So every leave, he would come and pick me up and take me under his wing. He'd done that for a year until I got the will to live. A year. He gave me his whole life for a year because he knew I didn't care whether I lived or died, you know. And the amount of people that we were able to help during that time, because I didn't give a fuck about anything. Who cares about work? Who cares about anything? Earning? Who cares? Nothing. Yeah. And he was one that would pick the addicts and alkies off the street, and he was a chef. And I remember one time, like, bringing them to my place, we had a whole big table full, and he cooked them all prawns and a big feast like you'd get in a top class restaurant, and they thought it was all business, you know. That was the type of person he was, and I had these type of people in my life all along, you know. All my recovery, I had some just amazing men just help me. A few women, but mainly men, just be there for me, you know. And, you know, that's like, how can you repay that kind of stuff? The only thing that I could do is try and do the same thing for the next person, you know.
Pass it on.
You know the score, mate. You've been doing it for a long time as well, you know.
Pass it on.
I've seen lives change so much in the people that you help, and now watching them help others, like, that's just beautiful, man. It's like there's no other joy better than that, is it?
Better than any drug.
Better than the smack.
Yeah, better than any drug.
Yeah. Who could think that it would be better than the smack?
Yeah, mate.
I could get freedom from my own mind and my body, even freedom from pain. At times I've suffered pain, you know, Like I've had 2 back operations. I remember being in hospital, the first back operation, and people ringing me and me reading some literature with them and just helping them through their difficulties. And they're saying, but what about you? I said, fuck me.
Yeah.
I'm all right. I'm getting taken care of. What's going on,
Yeah.
And as a result of thinking of others, I had less pain.
100%. 100%.
You know the same. You suffer pain yourself.
100%, mate.
And through our literature, that's what's helped me too. The different literature we've read over the years. Because I relapsed after 10 years. I thought I'd never drink or drug ever again in my life. And it came through the back door through prescribed medication. I used to get these things called cluster headaches, and nobody knew what they were. So I'd go to a doctor and they'd think I'm seeking drugs. I'm just in that much pain. I'm wanting to fucking blow my head off. It was that much pain. I'd have to call an ambulance and they'd take me and give me the only thing to stop that was pethidine. But I wasn't in the right spiritual state when this started to happen to me. I was in emotional disturbance.
Yep.
When they first started to happen, I just broke off with my fiance, my first fiance, and it was pretty hard times. And then they used to come on every year, and for a while I was okay, and then eventually I wasn't in the right place, and that's all. You never know when that's going to happen, because if I knew what my next relapse looked like, I wouldn't be powerless.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it's looked like,
Yeah.
So, I didn't see it coming, I wasn't in the right state. I got the cluster headaches. They gave me the pethidine. I was getting that for a little while. Then the doctor said, you're getting addicted, and just cut me off, just cold.
Yeah.
I just left his doctor's surgery, walked out the door, and I bumped into an my brother's old mate, Charlie, and he just come out of the Nick. He just done 20 in the Nick down in Pentridge. And I said, what are you doing, Charlie? He said, I'm going to school. And that was it.
I'll go with you.
And I remember mixing up and all that with him. And I said, I haven't had anything for 10 years, mate. I shouldn't have much. And he said, no, probably not. And I just sucked the whole up and said, fuck it. And I dropped. And, he could have robbed me or done anything. I had thousands on me because I had blokes working for me. Instead, he carried me over to the pub across the road. He's out on bail, so he says he's overdosed, ring an ambulance, and he saved my life.
Yeah, right.
That was over years. And then I had a battle, because then I got a year and a half up, and then I relapsed again. Then I got a year up and relapsed, 6 months, relapse, 3 months, relapse. And now it's 23 years because I had what was called the second surrender. Not many people talk about it, but I had another spiritual awakening.
Yep.
That changed my whole outlook upon life, even once again. Like, I thought you could only have one. I have them all the time now, but like major ones, which is just so exciting. So even where I'm at right now, I'm heading over to Thailand to live most of the time, and with my wife, and I intend to go more into meditation and indulge more, because I know there's more. There's so much more. I know there's more, and I'm feeling sensational even now. Yet I know there's even more, and that's because of the people that have travelled the path before me. Yeah. They know. They're telling me it just keeps getting better, and I've watched their life for over 30 years now. I know that it keeps getting better because they just told me, and mine got better. So I'm caught up to where they were telling me it was better, but they're even further down now, and they're saying it still gets better. That same bloke, Tony, like, he can hardly walk with weight and physical problems, yet he keeps saying my life's fantastic. It just keeps getting better. It's in his mind. He's got this freedom in his being that, it doesn't matter what's happening externally. with his physical body, he feels sensation. You know the score. You experience it yourself, Ron. You know, I've experienced pain and been able to still feel sensational even though it's feeling pain. And it's pretty hard when you're getting the cluster headaches to overcome it, because you need your mind to meditate, to distract yourself and do all that stuff. So it's like, oh yeah, man. And thank God for some of our literature saying to take this is the way that I live by now. It's take the minimum amount for the max amount of pain.
Yep.
So if I'm experience pain, I follow directions from the doctor, and I make sure that I'm not completely out of pain. If I'm completely out of pain, I'm taking too much.
Yeah.
That's my guideline,
Yeah.
if I've got to take prescribed medication, because I don't want to go down that hell again. I thought I would never be able to grasp this way of life again. That was more frightening than the guns pointed at my head and knives put to my throat. I've been stabbed and bashed and all kinds. None of that mattered, but thinking that you're going to lose your mind, that you can't grasp anything again, oh man, that's the scariest ever. Walking around not being able to. And after that relapse, I was like a little baby. I was going to, catching up with our crew, and in between, I was just bawling my eyes out and didn't know why, and I couldn't stop it. And supposed to be, this knockabout bloke, and here I am crying like a little baby, continuously and not knowing, and I didn't care what other people think, And fortunately, this bloke says, you're going to be. He would encourage me. I'd ring him up in between the meetings, that we'd get together, the people that we'd get together with and catching up, and he would just encourage me, say, "You're going to be okay, Al. Just stick with the group of people trying to do the same thing, and you'll be okay." And I intuitively knew if I hung around with my own kind, I would be okay. The ones that want recovery more than anything else. I think that's one of the keys, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, hang out with winners.
Yeah, well, yeah, people that want it more than anything else. It's got to be number one, isn't it?
You show me the 5 people you hang out with, and I'll show you where your future is.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah.
I say it all the time. So, mate, if you're hanging out with people who are still ungrateful, pessimistic, rude, selfish, self-centered people, guess where you're going to end up?
Yeah, 100%.
You're going to end up in the same attitude, the same mindset, I like people who are working the program, helping other people, If I see someone that I look after at a meetings, and there's a newcomer gets up and shares, and they don't go to him straight after the meeting, I call him up and say, "What are you doing?" Yeah. So you're not a newcomer over here to say that's his first meeting? What are you doing standing over here talking to your mates that you speak to every day on the phone? There's a kid over here that you've never spoke to who needs your help. Get your ass over there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah.
Get your ass over there.
That's a shame, isn't it, that we see a lot of that too? Do you know?
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
and they receive all the benefits of and the help from people like yourself and myself, and then they just go and piss off on their merry way and don't give a shit about anyone else. The next person coming in, It's like it's sad. It's sad to watch.
I've had the same sponsor, spiritual advisor, whatever you want to call him, for 36.5 years.
Oh wow!
I mean, I've only had the once my whole recovery. When I came back from my relapse in 1986, 3rd of March 1986, I came back, and the whole program had changed, and I'd changed. I became teachable.
Yeah.
And he said to me, "I want you to do 90 meetings in 90 days." And I went, "Fuck off. That's for sick people." He said, "Mate, you've been around the program for 5 years. You're 1 day clean. You are the sick people."
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Good.
And it was so humbling. It was like, wow, because, I was privileged enough to come into the 12-step program when it was first starting in Sydney. So I was a big shot. Then I found out I was only one shot away from being a junkie, and there's no big
the great leveler, eh?
Yeah. And it's true, I say to people, don't listen to what I say, watch what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't listen to
Yeah,
what I say.
yeah, same. People are saying, I'm so willing, and so on. And, you know, straight away I say to them, I don't want to hear what you're saying. I want to see what you're doing. You know?
Yeah.
Let your feet tell me how willing you are. The rest
How-
is just rah, rah, rah. Just, it
How
doesn't
many
matter.
thousands of people in the 30 years you've been around have asked you for your number and never ever called you?
Yeah, 100%.
Thousands, thousands, you know? I've had guys come up to me and go, oh, man, will you look after me? And I say, mate, you won't handle me. Oh, I don't really want you to, but I need someone like you. I never hear from them again.
Yeah, yeah. And
I know they're not going to call me. I know they're not going to call me because
I had a lady just say that only 2 days ago. So I need a sponsor, you know, just know you've been my sponsor. I said, yeah, no worries, you got me on Messenger.
yeah,
Now or later, you got my number. She hasn't rang since.
you know, I get people 10 years clean. Oh, mate, I'm dying. Will you help me? And I go, yeah, you got my number.
Yeah.
And they ring you 2 or 3 times in a month, and then they stop ringing.
Yeah.
And then they get up and they share, oh, I'm dying. Of course you're dying. You don't work a program.
Yeah. Still a selfish
program. This is a working program.
Still selfish.
Yeah. It's like having a cattle dog and leaving him in a cage and saying the fucking sheep won't round themselves up, mate. Let the dog get out there and do his job.
Yeah, 100%.
Put the steps into your life and let them do their job. Round that disease up. Put it in a corral. Disease needs to be put in a corral. Our disease needs to be arrested on a daily basis.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right? There's no cure.
I was hoping, and it took some time, I reckon, I was hoping that I would arrive at a certain place where I wouldn't have to do this anymore. And I think that's part of the journey, you know. But that's got to be continually smashed, which it has been. And, you know, it still needs to be now, you know. Like I'm not cured of nothing, you know.
Yeah. I love the fact that I've been given freedom from self, but I love the fact that I'm now knowledgeable enough and humble enough to teach.
Yeah.
To teach. And the greatest gift I get from people is seeing people celebrating milestones. I had a message sent to me the other day from a young fellow who's just 4 years clean.
Wow.
And he said to me, thank you for looking after my sponsor, because if it wasn't for you, he wouldn't know how to look after me.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I was like, wow, that was really nice. Now, this is,
100%.
it's my grand sponsee, and then I have great grand sponsees and things like that, where they come in, they send messages to me and say, like, thank you for looking after our sponsor, so he can look after him, so he can look after him, and you can go after him. And that's what they're supposed to do. You know, that's what we're here for. I believe being drug free and alcohol free is a gift, and I think it's been given to us, as we talk about, freely, but it's not really freely. We have to do a lot of work.
Yeah.
But we have to give it away freely too.
It's more it's more like, if you want freedom, you're going to have to do these things, really.
Exactly.
If you want continually and to continually get more freedom, because it doesn't stop. The freedom doesn't stop. It just expands and expands, you know. That's why I'm looking forward to, I look forward to now the adventures of the freedom that I can experience. That's where I'm at, you know. Who would have thought that would be my greatest desire within me, is to seek more freedom, even though I'm freer than I ever have been in my life. And it doesn't mean that I'm not satisfied with what I am. I just know that the more I receive, the more freedom that I can gain and knowledge and experience, the more that I've got to offer others, you know,
100%.
and to be help them where they're at. Because, like, I can really, you know, because like yourself, through experience, it's like the man with experience meets the man with the money. The man with the money walks away with the experience, and the man with the experience walks away with the money, you know.
Exactly.
And it's the same with our you know, our recovery, not money wise though, in the way of being able to help others, you know. It's just fantastic.
We have something much more valuable than money.
Yeah, I found my greatest joy in being able to help others, really.
I have friends who are so rich, you know, that it's ridiculous. And I say to them, you know, especially when they're in active addiction, I say, you are so poor that all you have is money.
Yeah.
You are
Yes.
so poor that all you have is money.
Yeah.
And I've got the unfortunate or fortunate, I don't know which one it is, of having a couple of friends in active addiction who are incredibly wealthy. I mean, stupid wealthy. You know, wealthy that you couldn't spend it no matter how much you use, because you couldn't even use your interest on a daily rate.
Yeah.
They're the hardest ones to help get clean.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what unmanageability is. And when you start talking about emotional and spiritual unmanageability, they don't quite get it because they haven't been in conscious contact with anything greater than themselves for a long time.
Yeah.
And I believe if you don't have a spiritual awakening, you don't have a conscious contact, you're void.
Do you remember that pamphlet being around about the higher power?
I'm not sure, mate.
There's a white little book that sort of opened. It was only 2 pages. Yeah, it was around a long time, and that explained about, you know, this gift it wasn't given to the ministers, it wasn't given to the scholars at Oxford, it wasn't given to the teachers, it wasn't given to the prime ministers, it wasn't given to anyone. It was given to the down and outers that were willing to do whatever's required, you know. And I think, you know, you've got to be beaten to be able to be willing to do anything, really. You've got to be, you know.
I would never have got clean if I had been, I would never got clean through doctors, priests, all that stuff, medicines. That was never going to get me clean.
Yeah. I tried them all.
Mm.
Yeah, I tried them. I even went to the Hardy Krishnas one time in Melbourne trying to look. I was just looking for an answer, a way out.
I want out, yeah.
Yeah, and I couldn't find any until I met people, you know, like yourself and others that we.
Therapeutic value of one addict, alcoholic helping another is without parallel. They're the greatest words I've ever heard in my life.
100%.
They are. They're the greatest words I've ever heard in my life when it comes to recovery.
Yeah.
Anyone who's suffering with an alcohol or drug or sex or gambling, it doesn't matter what you put in front of it. If you're using something against your will and it's causing you pain and it's costing you more than money, you need to start to have a look at it. You need to address it.
Yeah.
And you need to go to somebody who's got through that same problem.
Yeah.
And has remained abstinence for some time to ask for assistance and guidance of how he or she did it. It's no good of asking a fucking basketball player how to play golf.
No. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, mate, can you show me how to play golf? No, I can't, motherfucker. I can slam dunk.
Yeah.
But that's not what I want to do. You know, that's the same deal.
Yeah, 100%. You know?
I remember my mentor that I had in 1981.
Go on.
Go on, mate.
Go on. I was just going to say, no one knows to the depths that we've been unless you've been there to get you out.
And some of the depths we've been are only in mental depth too. You know, they're not even real, but they're real to us.
Yeah, 100%.
Only another addict can understand that, can say, yeah, I know what you're saying. That unfounded fear we talked about walking down the street at 10, 11 years of age, full of fear, unfounded fear.
Yeah.
And for me today, it's really funny. I didn't have fear because I had no self-worth. Today, I don't have fear because I have a God of my understanding in my life. I have faith.
Yeah.
And I believe the opposite to fear is faith. And it's, a guy said to me probably 30-something years ago, he said, I can tell the distance between me and my higher power by how much fear I have in my life.
How much fear?
Yeah, I have in my life. I can tell the distance between me and my higher power by how much fear I have in my life. If I have no fear, I'm in conscious contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah. 100%.
I'm in conscious contact with my understanding of a higher power, which is based, for me, it's the program. You know, I like the 12-step programs. I really like the 12-step programs. And I've done a lot of other stuff outside of the 12-step programs. I went to India and did the meditation, and I went to Jerusalem and walked where Jesus walked, and I've done all that stuff, and it all comes back to the 12 steps.
Yeah, 100%.
Always.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the God that I've been searching lives in here.
Yeah, and that's the problem you would have seen too, you know, as well. It's like we do that as well as, not instead of.
Exactly.
And that's what people I've watched for years. They do these things instead of, and they all go astray. I don't know anyone that hasn't. You
Yep.
know, they've all fallen into peace eventually. So, you know, I encourage other people to go and experience all the things that life has to offer, but you do that as well as, not instead of.
As well as, that's perfect. I haven't heard it said like that, but it's true. I always say my recovery is my Mercedes.
Yeah.
My meditation is the mag wheels.
Yeah.
My prayers, the tinted windows. You know what I mean? And I can do it. I can put all these accessories, but my recovery is still my Mercedes Benz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can add anything I like to it, but I can't have anything instead of.
Yeah.
Like you said, instead of is, you know, I like what I've been given, and I've been given freedom from self.
Yeah.
I've been given the gift of patience, something I never had.
Yeah.
When I first got clean, I opened a company called Next.
Next
Clothing.
clothing.
NXT.
Is that the clothing
It
line?
was a jewelry company those days, Next Jewelry. And I owned the registered company Next. I had it on my number plates in New South Wales. Next was my number plate. And after about 16 years, when I got arrested and I went back to prison, I realised I should have put down enough, not Next. I already had enough. But I wasn't grateful. And the greatest revelation I had when I got arrested and I sat in prison for 8 years, at 16 years clean, was that a grateful person will not commit crime. A grateful person will not take drugs. A grateful person will look at what he's got and not what he hasn't got. And a grateful person will just be grateful for what he's got. And today, you know, I'm so grateful. I'm grateful that you come on this show. I'm grateful you share your experience with us. You know, I'm grateful that I've got a computer to talk to you. We're blessed. We are the gifted ones. We are blessed.
Yeah, I believe that too.
You know, we've been given. People laugh. I don't buy lottery tickets.
Yeah. You won it every day.
Exactly right. People say, why don't you buy lottery tickets? And this is not an original. This is from an old AA bloke from years ago. He said, I think it'd be rude to win lotto when I've already won it.
Yeah. Wow.
I heard that about 40 years ago. I think it'd be rude to win it and selfish because I've already won it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sober every day.
Yeah.
And when
it's just better.
Yeah, and when he said, I thought, what a stupid thing to say. Fast forward 40-something years, and I'm like, yeah, I've got you. And a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, do you think you can actually manifest like gratitude, that sense of gratitude, or does that just go to the mind? You know, do you know what I mean? There's this different depths of the gratitude.
Yeah.
You know,
I find my gratitude comes from my heart, not from my mind. My mind's restless and defective. See, I'm a real funny guy. I believe my disease lives in my head and my recovery lives in my heart.
Yeah.
What I have to do is get my heart and head connected. So my heart's actually stronger than my head. Years ago, my head was stronger than my heart.
Yeah.
So I've had to, when I believe we're working on defects and assets, I believe that's in the heart, not in the head.
Yeah, beautiful.
My heart is strong.
You would have learned how to, a skill not to listen to the head so much.
I don't trust my head. I still don't trust it.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'll give you an example. I'm 36 and a half years clean. 7 months ago, my wife was going through a little bit of a hard time. I got a little 3-year-old, as you know, and she's very strong-willed. And she was being a little prick. And she'd been a little prick she was at 2 years of age, going through the terrible twos, and she was being really harsh and being really naughty. And my wife was really frustrated. She goes, fucking help me. This didn't say that. She goes, this little CUNT called the kids. You know, she's swearing. And I said, don't call our child that, you know. And I was really stern about it. I said, that's wrong. Don't call our child, you know, a name, blah, blah, blah. Cut a long story short, I'm like, And then she's like, well, help me. And I go, wait a minute, you help yourself. I'm working my ass off putting food on the table and you look after the kid. So I go away and I'm fuming. I ring my sponsor and I go, Just had a discussion because we don't fight, my wife and I. So we just had a discussion with V, and she put this on me, and she goes that I should help her more. And I told her this, and he starts laughing. He goes, "What'd you tell her?" I told her I'm the breadwinner, and he said, "Are you fucking serious?" I go, "What?" He goes, "Mate, you're fucking so far out of whack, it's not funny. 36 years clean."
Yeah.
He goes, "You're fucking the father of the child. Support her." He said, "Don't you listen to what she's saying? She's saying, 'Please help me, I'm not coping.'"
Yeah. Yeah.
I said, "That's all she's saying. She's not swearing at the kid."
It's just like for now. It's not forever.
Exactly. And then, he just sort of brought me right back to basics. Like, mate, you're out of whack. That's old information. That's my father talking. I'm the breadwinner. I'm the man of the house. You look after the kids. I look after And
And how many takes have we got running in our mind?
Exactly. And that's the subconscious one, El.
That's where the real recovery comes, is start questioning the thoughts that come into my head. Who do they belong to? Are they mine?
Yeah.
That's a
And
journey.
they're not mine. That's not mine because I'm a good dad.
Yeah, that's some trip in its own.
Yeah, and it freaks you out.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That's the stuff. That's why we continue to work the program over and over and over. Even if you're 30 or 40 or 50 years clean, you still continue to work this program. You continue to do the steps.
Yeah. Same as I stopped doing what I've learned. I'm going to have them old tapes running my life for sure, because I won't be questioning them, and they happen automatic. They're so automatic, aren't they?
That one was. And then as soon as I said it, I knew I was wrong.
Oh, yeah. But we're not going to own that one straight up.
No. Then when I went and spoke to him, and then I had to go back to my wife and say, "Honey, I'm so out of line. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And then I made the effort. Just saying sorry wasn't enough. Then I made the effort to start putting my kid to bed, started looking after her, and she started to settle down.
Isn't that beautiful, though?
Yeah.
To own up to your mistakes.
You've got to.
I'm an Irishman, so the pride is like right up there.
Yeah.
To say that you're wrong, it's really a hard thing. But now, it's beautiful to witness, and that's because other people showed me it's okay to be wrong. You would have been around other people all our lives growing up. It's like you can't show a weakness, you can't say you're wrong, you can't do
never
nothing.
admit anything.
Keep going on regardless, or else you've got to stand up,
We're very, very lucky, mate. We're very blessed. We have this incredible gift, and I keep calling it a gift.
Yeah. This
gift of recovery, this gift of freedom, this gift of having like-minded people who want to talk to you, who want to hang out, who want to, like the young fellow that was there helping you before set up your computer, like I've seen him grow into such a good human being, and there's somewhere along that line that there's a bit of your DNA has gone into that young fella, and he now carries that DNA into the next guys, and he carries that,
Well, that's where he's going. He's going to do some step work with the bloke.
Exactly. And that's what it's all about. That's what we're here for. We're here to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. And people think that means that the guy's got to be using. No way. Yeah. People are suffering in the rooms of all different 12-step programs.
And even just wherever we travel in our day.
In all our affairs.
It doesn't matter. That's one of my prayers I pray every day, that I experience everything in the spirit today. All my interactions, all I do. Now, that's my prayer every day, one of them,
Yeah, good.
I don't know what I'm going to experience or who I'm going to be able to help, or if they're going to help me. I don't know. But if I'm being in the spirit, I'm going to experience the fullness of that day.
Yeah, 100%.
Which before I was just trapped and focused, tunnel vision.
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard me say, today I'm a human being, not a human taking.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
For years I was a human taking. Today I'm a human being.
While I think of it, I want to do this on air because it may help somebody else. That I owe you an amends for my judgments on you, Ron. And that's come through other people of what they've told me about you, which was so wrong. Yeah, man, fuck. I'm really sorry that I've judged you in the wrong way, and had this separation for, you know, all these years. And that's because I listened to other people's judgments, and, you know, I fucking robbed myself, you know, and I'm really sorry, man.
Oh.
You know, you're a lovely person, and I never got to see that, and it's only now that I'm getting to see that stuff. And, you know, and I'm just saying that somebody else may have judgments of whether it's of you or somebody else, and it just fucking robs us, you know. And I just got to know you over the last couple of weeks, really. You invite me to your home and introduced me to your wife and your children, and just the intimate, you know, conversation we had since then. And I fucking robbed myself, man. And I regret. That's one of my regrets of me
Most
judging
people
you.
judge me don't know me.
Yeah, they don't. They obviously don't.
They
But
don't.
it's, you know, but I've got to take responsibility that I've picked up their stuff rather than question their judgments, you know. And that's where I like to move on from here. So I like to question other people's judgments from here on. That's the gift been given through this experience that we've had, you know, just recently. I'll start to question judgment, and most of the time I do. It's just I hadn't had a look at this one because I haven't really had contact with you. You know?
Yeah.
Since I have, it brought it up to me to have a look at, and I was wrong, man. I was wrong. And so would I.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your amends, mate, and the amends are taken. And as I said to you, most people that judge me because of my honesty and because I'm so blatant and I'm so straight up and down. There's no half pregnant with me.
It was different than that. It was from your past.
Oh, that's the past.
Yeah, I know, but still, I was frightened of being misled. I didn't want to go back to the life that I led, so I was frightened of being misled, and I didn't question that time. I'm talking about a long time ago. There, and I haven't had to look at them because I've just seen you here and there, not much, you know.
Yeah, see, I haven't committed a crime for over 20 years now. You know, and you know what I did in my early recovery, I went to prison for, and I served a long time, and I learned a hell of a lesson, and I carried a message to a lot of people. And I believe my higher power works in funny ways. I was strong enough to go back to prison, to carry a message, to start a rehab in prison, help a lot of people, and remain sober and clean. I'm the only person I know out of everyone I know in the last 40 years that did a long served time in prison and stayed clean.
Wow.
So that's testimony to my program.
Yeah.
Not to me, to my program. A program that I work vigilantly.
It's your commitment, Dad.
Yeah. I want recovery more than I want to get stoned. Simple. I want to stay straight more than I want to get stoned. If it was the other way around, I'd be stoned now.
Well, I remember you mentioned that turning point for you the day you went back in, you know?
Yeah, mate. I made a decision. I sat in a cell with pot, and I made a decision. Do I want to smoke this joint? If I smoke this joint, I'll never get out of prison again.
Yeah.
I grew up in prison. Prison's not scary for me. Prison's home.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a quick story. When I got arrested, I was a multi-millionaire living on the waterfront at Minyama. And, you know, it was all over the front page of the papers and all that sort of stuff. And anyway, there was a lady on the classification board at the prison when I got there. And she must have known of me or read the stories. And she's like, "Oh, this is a bit of a fall from grace, isn't it, for you, Mr. Isherwood? You know, after your multi-million-dollar properties and your boats and being in prison." And I started laughing because, you know, I'm an arrogant, cheeky prick. And I said, "Are you serious?" I said, "Haven't you read my history?" I said, "Living in the waterfront mansion was a fall from grace for me." I said, "Because I'm a street kid from Fitzroy." I said, "I'm actually at home here, darling." And they all put their heads down because she was trying to humiliate me.
Yeah.
And it reversed on her. I said, "Oh, no, you've got this mistake." I said, "I was uncomfortable living in the waterfront mansion. Here, I'm home, baby. I'm back." And the whole classification board just put their head down like, "Oh, that backfired."
Yeah.
That's the truth.
So
You know?
back then, you wouldn't have thought you deserved to live that life. Would that be correct?
Oh, mate, I was 16 years clean. It was Boxing Day 1981. I was laying in bed in a waterfront mansion with the boat out the back, the sports cars, all the trimmings. Married to a beautiful young lady, American woman. I had a beautiful little 6-year-old daughter. And I was laying in bed thinking, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah, wow.
15 years clean, 16 years clean.
Yeah.
Thinking, I hope I don't wake up tomorrow morning.
That goes to show that
Bankruptcy.
you can come from having everything yet to be where you are now, really being rich inside.
Exactly.
I mean?
And that's the point I try to tell everybody.
That's what's on offer, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know?
That's what I try to tell everybody, mate. I had all the money in the world and I was poor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had 3 waterfront properties.
Yeah.
You know, like financially, I didn't need anything.
Yeah.
Spiritually, I was bankrupt. I was a liar and a thief and a cheat. Today, I'm not a liar and a thief and a cheat. It's so nice.
Yeah.
Today, I can say I haven't committed a crime for quite some time. I haven't harmed somebody intentionally for quite some time. And if I had harmed somebody, I'd make amends.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can clean it up now. Yeah.
Yeah. And if I have harmed somebody unintentionally, I'd make amends. And whether I was responsible or not, I still make amends because that's how they felt.
Yeah.
And I respect other people's feelings today where I respected nobody's, you know. And that's all gifts from this program. It's from working this program.
Yeah.
Program we call it 12-step program. And I don't care where anyone gets clean. I don't care if it gets clean from hanging by your toes from the rafter. As long as you get clean, I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't have to do what you did.
Yeah, a lot of them over Thailand, they go up to the temple.
Yeah.
That's how they, you know, like I met one of the monks that come to our house to bless our house. We had a housewarming and 7 of them coming to bless our house and bless us and all that. And I was talking to the only one that speaks English, and he'd been off the piss for 25 years.
Yeah.
You know, which is beautiful. I was talking to him, and he said that's where they go.
Yeah.
Over there.
I have a saying, and people laugh at me. I say, you've got to serve somebody, whether it's the devil or the Lord, you've got to serve somebody. And it doesn't matter who it is, you've got to serve somebody. Because while you're your own higher power, you're in trouble because you have a disease of the brain that tells you lies and you believe it's lies. It tells you you're worthless, hopeless, and useless, and you're better off killing yourself with a chemical or some way of destroying yourself.
And if you're serving yourself, well, it's an unsatisfied quest. You can never satisfy it.
That's why it was next, remember?
Yeah.
I never was happy with what I have.
Yeah.
Now my number plate should be enough. I have abundance. I do. I have abundance, mate. I have abundance of love. My kids tell me every day they love me. Yeah. And my daughters are 40 tomorrow. I met their mother in rehab. My kids have never seen me drunk or stoned.
Yeah. Same. My two boys.
My kids you met me. Yeah, he's a really lovely young fella. Yeah. I'm going to get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he's looking forward to it.
He wanted to wait for you to come on first.
Yeah, he wanted to suss me out and how it is.
He wanted to find out what he could say and what he couldn't say.
Yeah.
Mate, he's a gem.
Yeah. And that's all recovery.
He's a special young fella, that boy, mate.
He lives this way of life.
Yeah. My kids got the same principles because that's what they've been brought up with.
Yeah, 100%. You know, now he's able to go and travel the world where I couldn't before.
Yeah. He's going to go somewhere, that boy. He's got something special about him.
Yeah, I think so too.
Mate, I'm a good judge, brother.
Yeah, he don't...
Soft, handsome, intelligent, good heart, really good heart.
Yeah.
He brought me back that piece of crap. You know, if I'd have known what it was, I would have went and got one. You know that little thing that to hold the mic stands? He went and bought the best quality one he could find.
Yeah, I know.
He didn't buy a piece of shit. He bought a better quality one than the one he was replacing.
Yeah.
He really did. You know, it blew me away. I was like, mate, you're a really good kid. You're a really good kid. I should introduce him to my granddaughter and get.
Never know.
She's a little model. She's beautiful.
Yeah.
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 All right, brother.
All
Thank
right.
you very much for coming on The Truth About Addiction. Look, if
Thank you.
anybody's got a problem out there, please feel free to contact me, or if you see Al somewhere, say hello. And you know, the truth about addiction is not about making money. It's not about making friends. It's about making people enjoy their lives and giving people freedom from this rotten disease. And it is a disease, and it is progressive. And if you don't do something to treat it, it'll treat you, you know. But Al, it's been a pleasure, mate.
Thank you,
Thank
Ron.
you very much. Good luck with your new adventure into Thailand.
Yeah, and we will see you again soon.
You'll see us again soon.
I solemnly swear that I will tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.